Good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting in a few minutes. We are waiting for other people to connect. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this exciting webinar about energy efficiency, and sustainability. So my name is Patrice Chouaieb, and I'm very happy to be your host for this session. Organized with our great partner, Hydro-Québec. The presentation will be in English, but we'll speak in, no, it will be in English. We will be speaking in English, but the presentation will be in French, during the session. So to ensure that everyone will understand, at the end, we will have a Q&A session where question could be and can be asked in either French or English. To start, let me introduce Leyton. So we are an international consulting firm dedicated to helping businesses across unlock financial incentives, to fuel their growth and achieve sustainable performance. So since opening our first Canadian office in Montreal back in 2009, we've expanded across the country with offices in Toronto and Vancouver, and our highly experienced team of tax and technical experts develop tailored strategies to meet specific needs. So the purpose of the webinar is part of a commitment to making energy efficiencies and easy to understand, and accessible. We know how important for businesses to reduce cost and become more sustainable. So today we will learn how Hydro-Québec's program can help you achieve these goals. And I'm very excited to introduce our speaker, Léa Berlinguet. Léa is the director of partnership at Hydro-Québec and has helped many businesses succeed with energy efficient solutions. She will share today great insights about how Hydro-Québec programs can help you, like Solution Efficace, for example. So that the transition is already done. So let's get started. And Léa, over to you.
Testing. And we are back. Can somebody confirm this chat that you can hear me correctly? Frédéric Duguay, you were the last one. All good. Thank you so much. And apologies, everyone. We're trying new technology today. Bear with us. Thank you so much. I will start again. Thanking Leyton for this invitation. We are at Leyton Canada's headquarters here in Montreal. So Hydro-Québec is very happy to be invited for this presentation. I will be with you for almost an hour. My presentation will be in French for the slides, and we will go over it in English today. Together, we'll have a Q&A at the end, so don't hesitate during the presentation to write your question on the side chat, not forget it, and then we will go over them together at the end. Patrice and I are sitting together, even though we have technological issue. We are real humans here in a room, and we will be with you for this next hour. So thank you again for your patience. I will now share my screen. Simply confirm that you are seeing the screen that I'm sharing. Very good. So our new approach at Hydro-Québec revolves, we create a new team that is dedicated to be a point of contact for all the partners that surround the end user, the business clients that we address. We want to work with them in a hand-in-hand approach because we have ambitious goals for helping them in their decarbonization plans and augmenting the energy productivity of the clients. Therefore, I joined Hydro-Québec many years ago, but this new team last year, and we've been working with key partners that are key influencers here in the real estate market, like Leyton, Canada. So we have a team of around 20 people who are directly linked with service provider firms that are in energy efficiencies. And if you are one of those partners, please don't hesitate to reach out. You may have one of my colleague that is dedicated to the relationship with you so that you can enable your own clients in a better way and know our new approach and financial tools for all those real estate projects, whether it is new build or retrofit project. So just taking a step back here, in Quebec, we have a particular situation with our energy. We're lucky to have hydro energy, but we live in one planet, in one world, and we all have the same goal to reduce emissions. Therefore, Quebec's government have key goals, and all of our programs are tailored to help company to make sure that Quebec hits those targets. We did some study with the ministry, and we looked at all were the source of those emissions. And as you can see, buildings, including homes, but commercial and institutional and industrial buildings are a big part of those. Therefore, that's why we targeted this industry, the real estate industry, with generous tailored offers, because they are a key part, a key stakeholders in attaining those goals. You have a bit more information here. If you want more information on usage, do not hesitate to contact me. So in our strategic plan, we have an goal for 2035 of energy efficiency. And for that goal, it's locked into existing buildings. So 95% of our goal for business clients is locked in existing buildings. So all those retrofit projects that you have in your portfolio, maybe as an investor, as a promoter, as a constructor, as a company, you are part of the solution. So you are key for us to work together and make a difference. Just a concept that is interesting for us to start with. So we're all talking in the same thing. For those of you who are in Montreal this morning, today, you saw it's pretty freezing. So in Quebec, we have a situation that is different from, let's say, the south of the United States, that we need energy during winter and not for AC during the summer. And those winter months and weeks are very short. They appear long, but they are, in fact, just a couple of weeks. And as you can see, for just a couple of days, weeks in Jan, February, we need to have the installment of energy, the double of the average. So everything that all the businesses could do for that peak, so peak shaving, will help us to give juice for more buildings and economic development. So the idea of all our programs are so that every building uses less energy, so have equipment, HVAC equipment that uses less energy, that's energy efficiency, but also during those winter days and some peaks during every day, in the morning and at night, so that buildings are made with automatization or innovation, clean tech, so that the construction is helping us doing peak shaving. Therefore, all our programs are tailored to help the grid for those customers. So the energy transition, what does it bring to the business clientele? At the end of the day, if you use less energy, you reduce your expenses. You also are more competitive. As you may know, on a green building is more attractive for lenders than a building that won't have that, like, let's say, certification LEED, or here in Quebec we have BOMA Vest, et cetera, et cetera. And also, more and more, the real estate industry has to do some divulgation of ESG criterias. And I was talking about certification before, so that helps you towards your positioning with competition. So you might have seen, for those who are in Quebec, our new campaign where we talk about dollars and not necessarily megawatts. So the idea is that, yes, you use the energy in a better way, but it's better for your financial strategy. What is mentioned in our action plan is that 75% of our energy that we will build will be for retrofit project, so decarbonization of actual business client. And that's very important for you guys for all the retrofit project. For the new build construction in real estate, well, we dedicate 25% of the new production for the new build. Those are rules of thumb, but it gives you an idea that we are focusing in the retrofit project. And those are the 5 priorities of our action plan. And it's really number 2 here that we're talking today. So we want to help our clientele to use our green energy in a better way. But at the end of the day, cash is king, and our tariffs are still the lowest in North America. Even if we announce some small majoration of tariffs, we capped it for the residential market at 3%, and we announced around 4-5% for commercial clients. But keep in mind that this is still way lower than in other provinces, and I'll get back to that aspect at the end of the presentation when we will look at the OPEX. So a concept that is very important and different than the rest of Canada here, it's not necessarily electrify everything to start with, because we have a lot of demand for our energy and we're at capacity. So the idea is first to reduce your actual demand, so that's energy efficiency, then do peak shaving, so use not necessarily less, but at the right time to help us with the peak shaving, like I was mentioning before, and then switch to green energy. but not necessarily switch in the beginning if you have an equipment that could help you do some peak shaving, an equipment that is still functional. So the idea is to start by using less, using better at the better time, and then do the switch. But it's all part of a strategy, and we are here to help you with partners like Leyton have the best strategy and identify those low-hanging fruits to start with. I like to use the image. Sometimes commercial clients come to us and say, "Oh, I installed that amazing equipment, but it's not really. It doesn't show on my bill." And I always say to the clients, you don't necessarily need to buy a Ferrari, because at the end of the day, if you forget to put on tires, you won't see the benefits on your bill. Start by buying a Toyota, or just a regular car, but put some nice wheels on them, and you have to know how to use the car, and then you can step up. So the idea is to have start small and start somewhere so you get the heck of it. So in Quebec, I like to always address the elephant in the room. So I was telling you before that we are too popular with our green electrons. So we have a new law in place where we're not obligated to give the power to all projects that needs more than 5 megawatts. For you, real estate industry, what is 5 megawatts? So it's around 2 towers of 500 doors with a small mixed-use complex baseline. So you would have like a restaurant and maybe a store or something like that. But we consider all phases. So if you are working right now or are planning to work on a real estate complex that comes close with phase 1, 2, 3 to that threshold, it's very important that you get in contact with us as early as possible, and we will work together in those steps. So it's not like it was for 75 years where you just call us at the end of the project to be plugged in. With this law, we're not in the first arrive, first serve situation like we are in less than 5 megawatt. We really do a technical analysis, and then it's a political decision. If you have any question on that new law, again, I can address it after in the Q&A or directly, because every project is very looked at in a tailored manner. There's also other regulations that are starting to appear left and right. Some of you today are listening to us from Europe. You are well familiar with the legislation there that is advanced from what is happening here in Canada. But Quebec put in action this new law, Law 41, last March, so March 2024, and that will roll out in the coming years. All that to say that divulgation will be obligatory and mandatory for buildings. We're starting with residential and commercial and institutional buildings. It will come with industrial ones. But all that to say that we still have many carrots, but there's sticks that are coming out. So the idea is to do those retrofit projects as soon as possible to be ahead of the curve, and again, ahead of the competition. The heart of the presentation is our solution, everything we have in store to work with you for your project. So we do have that service of, hand-in-hand approach with the clientele. We do have those incentives for the CapEx investment. When we look at the OPEX, so tariffs, monthly tariffs, we have some option that lowers the tariff linked to peak shaving. Again, coming back to my point in the beginning. And then if you want to be, a very innovative and include new technologies, because you want to be the first in your sector that includes a new way of heating and climatizing a building, we will work with you in implementing new technologies that are not yet deployed in Quebec, but maybe in other countries. So that's the idea. I included it one pager here of our offer, but also the tariff and other offer that the ministry has. But all that to say that we speak to each other with the different ministry, the economy ministry, the environment ministry that have many offers. And we work together because at the end of the day, we look at one file, one project, and the maximum aid cannot be more than 75%. So it's all, a commuting pot. So I want also to emphasize the fact that we as public partners, we speak to each other and we're a team around your project, and we will help you identify the right incentive and the ones that are compatible. But I've seen numbers and we've done surveys, and when a client is working with a partner like Leyton, the project is going, faster, more rounder, because they can identify the best strategy with you, and we work together as a team. So that's really has stand out in the last surveys we've done with the business clientele. Again, just a little reminder why it is important to do some energy efficiency for real estate industry here in Quebec. Yes, sometimes the costs are paid by the tenants, but you still have some operation for the mixed use areas in your building, or we see more and more the type of business model where the costs are all inclusive, and therefore if the energy costs are less costly for you, well, you do a better margin. So that's a really an added value for the real estate owners. Here is a sum up of everything what is offered in Quebec for the sector of commercial real estate. So you have on the dark blue side our programs, but we listed other offers that are interesting to look at. And also with the gas provider here in Quebec, Énergétiques, we work hand in hand for some offers. So it's interesting now to have this new approach where in the same meeting you can have your energy representative, Hydro-Québec representative, and we work together as a team to offer you on the table the best deal possible with your situation. We study your energetic profile and we offer you some options. So I put again here all the information with all other governments offer that you may have heard of, but obviously there's many out there. So the idea is to have a strategy and maximizing those offers. Some of them are, loans, some of them are subventions. So it's a mix. Our probably most popular program is one for CapEx investment in equipment. Whether you are a big company, a small one, it's still the same. So the big difference is whether it's a simplified option, it's a platform called OLS, like I play a witty pun, like dare to do energy efficiency. And there's more than 200 equipment that are pre-approved, that we tested, that has high volume, and that we know that will make a difference. So heat pumps, for example, there's, basic heat pumps, and then there's efficient heat pumps that uses around 4 times less energy, but they cost a bit more. So we cover up to 75% of the delta of the cost. So that's an example. And the tailored approach, that's for more complex project. So if the equipment is not on that list on the OS platform, there's always a way to identify, if the new equipment could be eligible for that tailored approach. The idea is talk to us, tell us about your project and the technology you're looking to implement, and maybe it will be more included in the tailored approach than the simplified approach. And as you can see, the first step would be an energy analysis, but it's not mandatory. But it's the only program, and I'll go more in detail here, that is we can cover up 100% of the cost up to 50,000. So we give a first chunk of the money to 40% of the cost before. So when you sign with the partner that could do that analysis, and then at the end of the analysis, when you have implemented the recommendation of the analysis, we give the second chunk. But it's the only program where we cover 100% of the cost. So we highly recommend it. And going back to that story about a Ferrari or a Toyota, the idea is really to help the client to identify the low-hanging fruits. So that's why we suggest it, highly suggested. Going back here just a moment to that difference here. So you may, if you don't have the bandwidth internally, your CFO is swamped, you don't have the expertise, you could name a partner like Leyton aggregators. So they will file for you, you give them access to your account, and they will do a turnkey solution for you. So that's something we've enabled because we know that sometimes, when it's not possible with the people that are usually working with the company and that are swamped, or they don't have one person dedicated for the project. They can work with a partner that could have full access, and that we talk only with the partner, and the end client has a turnkey solution. So that's possible. An aggregator can apply to a program for a client. So again, just to really simplify it all, that measure, it's either the platform that is pre-approved for equipment that is pre-approved or tailored. And last October, we went from a maximum of $3 million per project to now $5 million per project. What is a project? Let's say your company has a building in Laval, one in Montreal, one in Quebec City. Each building, each retrofit program, a project will be a project. So the same company could have a maximum of 5 million in Laval, 5 million in Montreal, 5 million in Quebec City. So that's very important to keep in mind. It's not per company, it's per project that you're willing to take on. Here's an example with your little signs of dollars where we are generous. So heat pumps, as we just saw, we are now more generous than ever. Everything linked to a lightning, so LED instead of regular lightning, now will be mandatory by law 41. So it's just logical that we reserve the amount of money. Now we're more generous for new technology, and now we're still are giving out some money, but because it's now mandatory, we want to save those dollars for the companies who are being innovative in the technology in project that they choose. Again, the tailored approach, now a maximum of $5 million of not loans, subvention, so grants, non-dilutive financing. Here, I included some examples. So you have the commercial market, you have new eco-quartier. So this is interesting because you see everything I've mentioned before, it's by building, but for these new types of project where there's a reuse of heat from here, it's a Kruger plant for paper mill towards new residential buildings. So it's multi buildings. It's a new program that's called Projet Innovant, and the cap for this is $12 million. So that was just raised last October. So if you are a promoter today, or if you are willing to consider heat, reuse, and being linked with some kind of industry, we want to encourage that more and more, because every electron that we don't have to produce that is reused in the system is better for the environment. Other programs that could be interesting to look at. So if you're looking for management of energy in your building. That is a bit more for the industrial buildings, but we have programs for that too. The projet innovant I was mentioning before, so now is up to 12 million, and it's the minute there's more than one building. If it's one building, it's the main measure that I was telling you before, solution efficace, whether it is a simplified platform or the tailored platform. So now we've went over the CapEx portion, the financement of CapEx equipment, so CapEx cost for retrofit programs and projects. Now I would like to address the OpEx, so the tariff. So just a little reminder, because the grass we think is always greener at the neighbors, but here in Canada, for residential tariffs, we're still the lowest and by far. And for business clientele, we're still the lowest and predictable also. So that doesn't stop us to be generous for all companies and buildings that are willing to do some peak shaving. So how do we help with that financially? We give you a better tariff. So those are options that are a bit more on the industrial side, but for the real estate industry, it's the last one here. And it will, what does it help? It's not mandatory. So you can apply and you don't have to do every challenge. We call them challenges. So every time it's less than minus 10 degrees out there, like this morning. Well, this morning it was with the wind, so there was no official challenge, but it was cold, let me tell you. But last week we had 3 days of possibility to gain, to make more money, because you would have access to a lower tariff for the energy you are paying. So it's a credit on your bill, and you have the flexibility because it's not mandatory. Sometimes with some big industrial clients, we obligate a minimum of participation, but not for this, for your type of industry. I included here a chart, whether it is you are working on the commercial real estate sector or the institutional real estate sector, examples of technologies that we are financing. A little gem that we think that everybody knows or uses, but it's not the case, and it's really interesting to look at if you have not created your space on the website for clients, espace client en ligne. It's really a little gem that you could do so much operation on, and they're free when they're done, self-service on the website. So you can look at your consumption, and we give tips. You could look and export your history, and that's interesting for analysis. You could track everything that is being done on your site. You can have all the technical data. And if some of you have buildings where there's that is for rent, you could have an overview, or not by door, but an overview of the consumption of your building, and you can have many action. Let's say there's a unit that is not used, you can stop the input of energy, and you can have many automation of action in your building, even though you don't have the hydro bill for every unit. You are still the owner. So I encourage you, and I included the link to visit your personal space and your business account. So I mentioned a couple times before what we announced in last October. In a nutshell, we raised some financial aid. So we made it easier for people to file. And we also have a new approach where everything linked to programmation of building that helps you automatize your energy consumption. We added some programs and incentives for everything linked to programmation. So here are example of the financial aid case, just general market would receive. Those are fictional examples, and the measures that they, and if they would apply these measures, the financial aid they would receive, doing some peak shaving with the programmation software. So you have the hardware, and then you have the software to do energy management. So we have this new platform that is on now, but the old one is still in operation. And I mentioned the Lightning before. If you still haven't done your LED conversion for Lightning, we were way more generous for that in the previous version of our platform, OLS. So you can still file for the same building in parallel on those two platforms to maximum financial aid. But the minute we will launch platform 5.1, sorry, you will not be able to do that. We will deactivate the 4.0, the 4.1. And I can tell you that here it's start of 2025. We are at the start of 2025. It will be very soon. So if you have not yet did the retrofit project for the Lightning installation in your buildings, please contact me or Leyton as soon as possible, and we will help you to do that quickly so that you can maximize the incentives. And on that note, I will stop the screen sharing and open the floor for Q&A.
Thank you, Léa. So it was amazing. On stage, perfect. Thank you, Léa, for everything we have learned today. We are now here for the Q&A session, and we have already two questions from Gavin Grant. So the first question is, do we have to be the owner of the building to qualify for the financial support, or a tenant could qualify?
Yes. Perfect. So I unmuted myself. Thank you for this question. Very good question. So we always give the incentive to the owner, but you have a leverage being the tenant. You can put us in contact and we will do the pitch to the owner and we will demonstrate the financial value, but the incentives are to the owner for CapEx investment. As a tenant, if you pay your own hydro bill and you choose to agree to do peak shaving, it will appear on your bill. But we will not, as a commercial, we will not do some support for CapEx investment if you choose to do some renovation. For residential, if your question is you are as a individual wanting to acquire a new heat pump, we have a program that I did not present today for residential up to 19 tenants. So let's say a copropriété of 6, 2 triplex together could apply because it would be 6 units. So anything under 19, it's called logis vert. And I can right now put the program link in the chat. It's called Efficient Home Program, and it is to finance CapEx investment on top of the tariff that will be a credit on your bill if you agree to do some challenges in the peak shaving season.
Thank you, Léa. We have another question from Jacques Alexandre, sorry. What if you are the owner of the energy system implemented in a given building, but not the building itself? Would it be eligible to these subsidies?
Thank you for the question, Jacques-Alexandre. Je vais me permettre donc de répondre en français. Merci. Donc, l'idée, donc je vais relire en français. Si vous êtes le propriétaire du système énergétique implanté dans un building X, mais pas le propriétaire du building soi-même, est-ce que le propriétaire de la technologie, donc la compagnie de la technologie innovante, est éligible aux incitatifs? Alors, la compagnie, non, c'est l'utilisateur final qui l'est. Par contre, c'est un argument de vente quand vous faites votre approche à un nouveau client potentiel, de mentionner que votre technologie est préapprouvée ou éligible à un de nos programmes. Donc, ou bien préapprouvé dans la plateforme O si c'est une électrotechnologie, par exemple, un logiciel de programmation, comme je parlais tout à l'heure, ou un équipement physique comme une thermopompe, de mentionner que le client peut adhérer à cette offre et donc ça va venir combler une partie des coûts qui serait plus élevés qu'une technologie non efficace. Donc, nous l'avons vu auprès de plusieurs fournisseurs de technologies, des équipementiers qui font mention que leur équipement est préapprouvé par les programmes d'Hydro-Québec et c'est comme ça qu'ils vont aller se positionner dans le marché par rapport à une autre technologie qui serait pas efficace. Je vais juste rebondir sur la sous-question de Gavin Grant. Oui. So, Gavin, we saw that you had a question, so I will jump on it right now. You were asking, are the subsidies available or is the support primarily for financing? All the programs that I mentioned are subsidies. We do not do any lending. So lending is supported by traditional banks, Invest Quebec, the financial arm of the Quebec government, that are complementary to our subsidies. So it's literally checks, so it's non-dilutive. The only difference, that's for CapEx investment. The only, I would say, difference that we have because we are Hydro-Quebec, it's on the tariffs. So we do a credit on the bill. So it's not a loan, but it's not a check. It's a credit on the bill for the peak shaving tariff. Patrice?
Je me permets de répondre en français. Alexandre, vous demandez si on peut partager la présentation. Notre équipe marketing vous fera parvenir à tous les participants la présentation effectivement à la fin. Do we have other questions? Otherwise, I will have two for you, Léa, if you agree. Quick question: where should a company start when planning an energy efficiency project?
Thank you, Patrice. I like to say that the first step is just to see, do you already have a commercial delegate at Hydro-Québec that is in charge of your file? It's possible you may not have one because we used to have a minimum of a bill per month to have such a delegate. Now we change our approach. Every company owner that, raise their hands and say, we are willing to do a retrofit project, we want to do our part, we will assign someone to work with them. But studies have showed and surveys have shown that when those owners or companies are working with an expert partner, everything goes very smoothly. So we encourage companies to look at all the possible partners that could be interesting to work with you on the project. And if you always put the project on the back burner because you don't have the bandwidth, again, there's a possibility for strategic partners like firms like Leyton, like energy efficiency firms, like Génie Civil firms, to be aggregators, so to do the project for you, and Hydro-Québec will be in communication with that aggregator, working on your name.
Thank you. Last question. What is a common mistake to avoid when launching an energy efficiency initiative?
So again, I'm going back to that image because it's so strong. To start too big too quickly, and hence sometimes, using too much capital and having a low ROI. So you want that return on investment. So start small, but start quickly, and start and don't stop. So the idea is to get the ball rolling and to have quick return on investment. You see it on your bill, you see it with your customer, your image, you see it with your lenders, you see it with, the market. So the idea is to start somewhere, but start as soon as possible because the regulation is moving quickly. And at the end of the day, it will be a differentiation factor with your competition. So a common mistake is to have a big project in the head, never doing it, or always postponing it or thinking too big. With a smart analysis, we can identify quick wins and low-hanging fruits, and it's almost impossible that there's nothing to be done. There's always something to be done, but it has to be done in a smart way. So a common mistake is to stay alone and to aim too high. Talk to your partners, to your community, to us at Hydro-Québec, and we will start small, but start somewhere and fast.
Thank you. Very interesting. I don't know if we have other questions. It's time, guys. Do not be shy. If you need answer, do not hesitate. Otherwise, thank you, Léa, for being with us today. It was a great honor. I think we have learned so many things today. I have added my our emails into the chat. So do not hesitate to reach out to us if you need further explanation or more details. We will be more than happy to answer. Thank you for being here with us. It's always a pleasure to have this kind of webinar because we learn so much. Thank you. So have a good afternoon to all. Thank you for your time today.
Merci à tous.
Merci. Au revoir.